Hi, my name is Marta. Today I'm not coming to you as Universal Power Tarot. I'm coming to you as a mother. I want to come on here to inform you today that my son was taken from me for 6 weeks and put into a Mexican-run shelter for abused children. When we finally managed to get him out of there, he came back to me like this. It was horrific to see. He had lost 4 kilos. He came back to me with food poisoning, was exposed to hepatitis A, and was being bullied inside the shelter for his skin color, for his appearance, and because obviously he's not an abused child, so is very different from the children that are usually inside the shelter. It was an extremely trying time for Vincent and myself, for him to be in there the first 4 days that he was at the shelter. It's called the kami. He did not eat at all. He could hardly sleep, and he was crying all the time because he did not understand what he was even doing in there. You must imagine he's coming from a beautiful Waldorf school that he was in, surrounded by amazing friends, really cool people, and a beautiful community, and of course a loving mother. And then to be thrown in there with people that he doesn't know, ripped out of those circumstances. And all that happened 8 weeks ago, where we were taken out of our home in San Miguel de Allende, out of said community, out of our beautiful home, and brought to Cuernavaca. Now, who is behind all this is my ex-husband, and I need to go back to explaining a little bit how these circumstances came about, because in November of 2021, I made the decision to leave Vienna, Austria for some time because of the COVID measurements that were rolled out there in Vienna that were really extreme. And I just wanted to have a safe space to go to with my son, so my son could be happy and healthy, because we were very restricted in Austria. It was never meant to be a long-term solution. It was just meant to be for some time until we could return to Austria. However, my ex-husband quickly took measures and matters into his own hands, despite being invited, despite having several video calls, me sending pictures and videos stating how great Vincent was. And he was really amazing. Like, Vincent was doing so well. He was blossoming, and he also used to suffer from tremendous tics. If you don't know what tics are, they're like throwing arms, throwing legs, throwing head, and saying things like, huh, huh, like this. Those are tics. And he used to have those. And about a month and a half into the time at staying in Mexico, Vincent no longer had any of those signs at all. And he really started to come out of his shell and started to blossom, at which point it was very evident to me that there was something wrong in the household of my ex-husband. And the longer I had time to think and reflect, the more evident these things became to me. Anyways, fast forward to 8 weeks ago, when we were taken from our home in San Miguel de Allende and brought to Cuernavaca, which is a completely different state, 7-hour car ride, in the middle of the night at 12 o'clock in the morning or at night, we were presented to a facility that should have been closed. It's called the DIF, the DIF, and that is the equivalent of the Mexican Child Protective Services. Now, we were greeted by 7 people that were forcing me to give my child up for psychological evaluation. They did not allow for a translator to be there. They had no interest in talking to my lawyer, who my friends had quickly organized, thank God, because otherwise this would have gone so different without the community. And guys, I'm so grateful to you all for making all of this happen. Like, my gratitude forever will go out to you and is going out to you, because you really moved everything you could in the period of time. So really incredible. But the people from the DIF did not want to know, didn't even want to talk to my lawyer. And yeah, one woman in particular was really nasty. And so they had Vincent undergo the psychological evaluation at 12 o'clock at night after a 7-hour car ride, in which he had a panic attack, because obviously when you're taken by 3 men, you don't know who they actually are. And this is a freaking scary experience, honestly. And so during the psychological evaluation, they found nothing wrong with my son, yet they still decided to take him away from me, which must have been the plan all along. Because first of all, again, the facility was closed. It was 12 o'clock at night. These are not regular opening hours. So it was open specifically for us. So there was, my lawyers believe that there was a specific plan in place that was strategically executed, because also there was no judge that we could have been presented to, because the whole judicial, like the whole judge thing, the whole court thing was on holidays. And so there was only like an emergency judge or something there who we weren't presented to. So they took my son away. They did not tell me where they put him. Matter of fact, they obscured from me the next day where my son was kept. They did not take any details of me. That had not signed me anything, which would have been the usual proceedings. They did not have my phone number, none of that, nothing. And later on, as we would find out, they tried to claim allegedly that I was in Germany. Allegedly, they forged my signature on documents, and they tried everything they could to keep me away from my child, but that wasn't happening because my lawyers were fighting like lions and were driving me around Cuernavaca to find out where Vincent was. And when we finally found out, they wouldn't let me see them, despite claiming previously that I had visitation rights. And that's what they told my son too. Imagine his distress when his mom wouldn't show up the first day he was in there, because there was nothing that we could do. We had to go to the court to have visitation rights granted. And so I was given 3 days a week visitation rights with 1 hour, which was quickly changed to 6 days a week. And my assumption here is that they did this because they knew full well the emotional distress that my son was in, that he wasn't eating, and that I was the only thing in there to keep him sane and to keep him somewhat stable. And I was there every day for 6 weeks. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. If you're a parent, you know how this is, or maybe you have some kind of understanding how this is when someone comes to tell you, the 1 hour visitation is over and you have to go when someone else has the jurisdiction over your child. It's horrific, and for no reason at all. That is the crazy thing. And you know this, that there's injustice happening, and you know that people are working against you purposefully, working against my child too, because this is not in the best interest of my child. My ex-husband has been claiming far and wide that I am mentally ill, that I'm a danger to my child, which is why we are in the situation that we are in at this time. And my ex-husband knew from day one that my son was at the shelter for abused children, yet he did not show up to visit him until 21 days later. That's 3 weeks later he took to finally come to Mexico and to see his child. He then stayed for 3 days, in which he visited him 1 hour a day, 3 days in a row, and then took back off to Mexico, but not before instructing his lawyers to do everything they can to keep Vincent in the shelter for abused children. Now, again, if you are a parent, this is unfathomable. Like, to me, that was a thing that I could not understand one bit. I understood somewhat the proceedings and what was happening, but that really, that broke me to a certain extent, because who does that to another human being, let alone their own child? And all the while pretending how much they missed that child, how much they cared for that child, and how much, they would be there for them, which obviously I don't see how my ex-husband was there for Vincent in his emotionally very, very trying time. Right now, we have to do therapy with Vincent to help him cope with what has happened, because that was no small thing to undergo at all by any stretch. And so after really my lawyers, the community, myself had tried everything, we went to the Amparo court. Very soon in the beginning, the Amparo court is the court you go to if you're saying, I always keep forgetting the English word for it, but if the judge is doing things that are not legal, and if they're violating your human rights, you go to the amparo court and you're saying, hey, this is what they're doing, do something about it. And we immediately got the okay from the judge at the amparo court to release Vincent immediately into my care. Yet the family judge in the 10th district did not want to hear anything about that. He knew full well that this wasn't our jurisdiction, which should have been number one indicator of immediately putting the trial back to our home, which is San Miguel de Allende. He didn't do that. With the thing from the amparo court, he immediately should have released Vincent back into my care, because I am primary custodian of my son. I am here. I have a right as his mother to see him, to have him with me. And he, as my child, does have that right as well. And he didn't do that until over 30 days later, 34 days after we had the amparo court ruling, is when he finally did it, but with impossible circumstances to fulfill. I had to sign a 6-month lease. He required, within 1 day, he required me to have a bond of 50,000 Mexican pesos, as if we were criminals. We now have 24/7 police surveillance in front of the house. Vincent is under house arrest, and he has stated to me numerous times that he feels like a criminal because of the measurements that the judge has put in place. It is a pretty impossible situation, and we believe that this is done to wear me down emotionally, to provoke a mistake from my side so they can put Vincent back inside the shelter. Obviously, I'm doing everything I can to comply with the rules and regulations that are highly illegal and that are trampling yet again on both of our human rights, left and right. My lawyers believe this is a corruption case. I am myself under the impression also very strongly, because every day that goes by, more and more irregularities are coming to the surface, are coming to the light, that are confirming black and white that that is actually the case. It is a very difficult situation to be in, a little bit less difficult now that I have my son back. And and here I need to tie in how I got him back. So here is a photo of before and after. He lost 4 kilos. He was exposed to hepatitis A. He came back to me with food poisoning. I also have that in black and white. And he was exposed to bullying in there. When I saw him the next day, because I did see him in there obviously, but when he took off his shirt the next day, and I saw how skinny he was and came back to me, I was so shocked. I knew about the emotional distress. I knew that he had shut down emotionally in there, because I could watch him shut down, because the pain was so tremendous for him that that's what he needed to do in order to survive the situation, which is why he's in therapy now, to kind of help him come back out of his shell. So absolutely impossible. And to think that his father would want him in there, and we're not sure at this point. It really doesn't matter. What we're trying to do, and what I'm trying to do, is get my son and myself back home to San Miguel de Allende, where his school has already started. He's gone to a beautiful Waldorf school on top of a amazing, it's an amazing scenery. They have wood workshop, they have yoga, they have cooking classes, they have amazing education there. The people there are very dedicated to the well-being of the children. He needs to be back there. The school already started September 2nd. It's a right for a child to receive education. That judge needs to rule for everything to be brought back to San Miguel de Allende. These people know full well what they're doing. They're very intentional in what they're doing. So my call to you is to please help us. You can help by donating. I need to raise $25,000 US. Every little thing helps. If you're donating $2, perfect. If you're donating 200, 2,000, perfect. Please help us end this nightmare. The link is down below for the donations. Please also comment and like this video so we can spread it far and wide. More people need to know about the corruption that is going on and the injustice that needs to end right now, and to help bring us back home to San Miguel de Allende. Please also keep us in your prayers, please. And because those really help. I do believe in that. If I didn't have my strong faith, as all of you know who have been following me on this channel, I would not have survived this very difficult situation. But thanks to my strong faith, I was able to. And yeah, please help us come back home. Please help us so we can return back home. Donation link is down below, also with a short description of what has happened. It will take you to a website where you'll have an overview also of what already has happened, and so you can share that with your friends, with your family, with whomever you think this could interest, and who could help us. That's the main objective. Thank you so much for watching this video. From Vincent's heart and my heart, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for helping us. And yeah, I'll sign off, but I'll be in touch, I'm sure. Thank you so much. Bye.